Hello there, it's me, earthmanbrick. We're back with another scratch build. Oh, I love a good scratch. Yeah. So we've been using up a whole bunch of old bits and bobs, recycling to make this one. Always a good thing. And starting with old MDF sprue frames. So you can, I use these for bases. So you can just sort of take the old emptied sprue frame and glue on some card. I've done that with this. I've used put on some cereal box card, and then I put on some colored card on here that we got from our Aldi book here. This is the, was this 24 sheets of like different colored paper card, and yeah, got this for like a couple of quid. Bargain. Loving it. And so I've hit this up with some glossy varnish, so it gives it a nice sheen, that you can see there, because that's going to be the water. The water for what? Well, you probably can already tell from the finished thumbnail. Of course, the project it's far from finished yet, because I've only just started it at this point, but the thumbnail will have it all. So I'm almost speaking to my future self. And so this is going to be essentially a map, and so what we're going to do is we're going to chop up a whole bunch of these old MDF sprue frames to make up a sort of wannabe island. And this is the general plotting and the planning that I've got so far. So that would be the edge of the island. We'd have bits like this kind of coming down, and then we'd have other parts. I think I've got that the wrong way around, so it would be something like this, with that as a kind of a space, and then you'd have extra bits sticking out like this, and so on and so forth, until we've got half of an island there, and then we'd have a bridge and another island here. And the idea is that this part of the island is going to be like the industrial kind of commercial sector, so we would have lots of buildings, and we've done buildings before, so we're going to have miniature skyscrapers here, and these would be like the docks. And so again, cutting up our MDF sprue frames and just using little bits of offcuts of card and stuff, and just make a whole bunch of ships and vessels so that they're packed in there at the docks. And yeah, we would have all of these old cable ties, you can see them all there, and then we just take up more bits of MDF sprue frame just to make a nice solid block. And yeah, then we dry brush it with a grey paint. I've just used grey house paint, just an old tester pot here. Yep, because I'm not too concerned if they're 100% realistic, and I've just kind of overbrushed them very haphazardly, a bit of messy, but all we need is the general impression that this looks like a city. So we'd have a whole kind of city blocks. We've got lots and oodles and canoodles of ones to all finish up and do up. And yeah, that's the general plan for this side. So we'd have our boats, we'd have this whole area here, and we'd also be using a lot of this homemade sponge flock. You see this stuff here where it's all spongy and like foam? I've torn up an old mattress and chopped it into cubes, and then put in some PVA paint, PVA green paint into a blender with the cubes, and chopped it up for about 30 seconds, sieved off the PVA and paint, and then left it to dry in old pizza boxes and stuff into the oven on a very low heat, just to kind of help speed out the drying out process. And yeah, you can find lots of videos on how to make that stuff. It's relatively easy. And so on the other side, on the interconnecting island, I've still not figured out how to do the bridge yet. You'll find that out once I've actually figured it out. But yeah, we're going to have what is it, like shops, and it'll be like a shop or a school or a public building or something. And then these other smaller MDF push-out pieces, because we've accumulated a lot, as you can see, and from all our various builds. All these smaller ones would be houses, so I'm going to form them all into little cul-de-sacs and whatnot, and create the impression of like streets and stuff, and little trees sort of sparsed in and around. And then this would be like a small scale kind of New York City style city, and ports and all whatnot. And I just think, you know, this would be pretty good for future projects that I'm going to be working on. So anyway, I'm going to get to finishing this, and I'll talk about it a bit more. But that's all I've got for you for now. So see you again soon. Hello there, and we're back. Yes. So this was our board, all made up. But we were still working out the city, and here it is. Now, you might be wondering, oh, but you kind of left this all grey. It's like, I don't care. I'm making it like, you know, I'm just using it like a basic kind of a proxy. You know, like in the game, the famous game, Monopoly. You can choose to be a shoe, a hat, a Scotty dog, a racing car. Do these things make sense? No, it doesn't have to. It's just a proxy. You know, the moment you look at it, you think, oh, that's a city. It doesn't need more to be more than that. So there we go. That's our city. And it's kind of good enough, because this is going to be in the background anyway. This isn't like a miniature that you move around. It has to be like a, you know, I'm not trying to win a competition or anything. It's just, okay, that's some buildings. That's maybe a park or something. That's some docks. Good enough. Yeah, I think a lot of people tend to lose themselves in the builds, and they end up losing so much bloody time trying to make them perfect. So that's that. And yep, we've got our boats. I've just hit them up with silver, and I'm leaving them loose so you can just kind of split them around however you like, so you can have them all kind of going around like a kind of a petal shape, like that. That looks cool, looks dynamic. Or you could go boring and just have them stuck about like this, which, I don't know, it looks a bit flat, but I suppose I like having the option of just moving it around. I've also done this sort of island thing as well. This is just a few bits of MDF, like stuck on top of each other, and a piece of card. Something from Aldi I got. What was it? Who cares? Oh wait, it was a pet thing for Poppy. She's a good girl. So yeah, I just made up some textured paste, which was made from old sawdust powder, PVA glue, and an old tester pot of paint, just a tan colour. And I didn't even bother with the white stipple or anything, because I've not really bothered with any other major extra colours with this. This is just grey and a small trim of blue, because I thought, good enough. And this is all the sponge flock that I've made. I've got a container right here, just using an old ice cream tub. Always good to recycle. There we go. That's all the sponge block I've kind of made up. And this is just an old mattress, foam mattress, that I've literally blended. And then the PVA and the paint that I've used, I made several batches and then mixed them all together. So you get a nice kind of natural kind of look. And so I've glued that on. And then I keep a packet of desiccant, or silica gel, whatever you want to call it. I always keep them for this type of thing. I've got many containers of the stuff. And there's our island. And again, because we've kept it modular, it means I can move this around, have it up here, or have it over here, right on the edge. There's no, because I'm not going to be using this for gaming. No. I have other designs for this. This is going to be for little guys like this. So it's going to be more or less just a kind of a basic display, a little miniature diorama, so I can have guys like Triptychon here. I mean, they call him Energy Dragon, but let's face it, this is just a knockoff version of, well, it's not a knockoff, it's a third party. So it's an entirely unique design of, well, not entirely unique, it's based on the G1, but the G1 version was like absolutely massive. And so it's taken the spirit of those elements and taken a whole bunch of different liberties, we shall say. But yeah, he's tiny, he's only about 5 centimeters tall. And yeah, having him in this sort of place will be great, along with other sort of builds, like this is a Black Zarek or Giant Claw. And again, these are the Doctor Woos. I'll be doing separate videos on these guys in the Cybertron Sunday videos. So that'll be something that comes out eventually. And I liked doing this so much that I thought, I might make other islands and other bits of displays in future. In fact, one that a buddy of mine came up with, because when I was buying a whole bunch of this blokey stuff, I got this thrown in for free. This is the Ark Transformers, which is the ship they arrived on when they crash landed on Earth. And they said, oh, you could take a mold of that, the back there, and do the cave, you know, the Autobot HQ from the original show. And I thought, yeah, at this kind of scale, that would work. Make up a little miniature volcano and stuff. But I'm not going to take a molding of that because that looks a bit crap. I thought I'll take some tomato puree lids and stuff and make my own sort of HQ just from scratch. So that'll be in a future video, and we'll be able to have more kind of really small titans. I don't know, just a bit of fun, something a bit different, because I think, you know, it's kind of soul destroying making up 101 miniature builds for games that you'll never play. But I can always play with the Transformers, can always just transform them back and forth. Great! I've got time to do that. I don't really have time or the logistics to go around and sort out, bring all the terrain and stuff, and have gamings, because I have a full-time job. I have, you know, a lot of other commitments and responsibilities, unfortunately. And so, yeah, this works out fine for me. But yeah, I'll just show this from an angle if I can. So there we go. I quite like this. And yeah, I'm going to do a few more little things, bits and bobs, at this kind of a scale. But will you try and make some of these types of things? What sort of terrain bits are you guys after? Because that's all I've got for you today. So, thanks again for watching, and bye.